The Coast Guard, those with
The color guard's outside.
they're ready for us. Good evening, everyone. We have 5:30. I'd like to ask that we all take our seats. I'm going to call this meeting to order and ask that we all rise for the color guard.
Forward, march. Detail. Halt. Left. Face. Present. Arms.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order. Arms. Right. Face. Forward. March.
Thank you very much. Having called this meeting to order, I'd like to recognize our superintendent for opening comments. Mrs. Trusclair.
Thank you, President Angel. Good evening, everyone. This is a reminder that the application process for Jumpstart Summer is now open. Jumpstart Summer offers a 2-week and a 4-week summer program that allows high school students to earn course credit, an industry-based certification, and earn a summer wage. The date for this year's program is June 1st through June 28th, and individuals can apply online at lpssonline.com. The Como speech team participated virtually in the 67th Barkley Forum for Speech and Debate. Reaching the final round of the Barkley Forum is considered one of the highest honors in speech and debate. As a sophomore last year, Como High's Jarkeelan Ismail not only reached the final round of the Barkley Forum, but was also named tournament champion in oral interpretation, an award seldomly won by a student in 10th grade. This year, Jarkeelan reached the final rounds in both of his competitive events and was named tournament champion in both original oratory and oral interpretation. This is his second consecutive Barkley Forum National Circuit Championship in oral interpretation. Jarkeelan is the first student to win 3 Barkley Forum championships before their senior year. Jarkeelan is a former South Crowley Elementary student of mine when I was at South Crowley as a principal, and I'm sure that his grandmother, who he lives with, is as proud as I am that he's finally realized just how smart he is. I'm also pleased to announce that Zoriel Tapo, a 7th grade student at L.J. Alamo Fine Arts Magnet Academy, is the new Louisiana Junior Beta State President for 2022-23. She was elected by her peers at the Junior Beta State Convention, which was held at the Cajun Dome in February. In athletics, we want to congratulate the L.J. Alamo boys basketball team and the Carencro Middle School girls basketball team for being named the 2022 Middle School Parish champions in their respective divisions. We also want to recognize the Lafayette High girls basketball team who advanced in the semifinals of the LHSAA Girls Basketball March Madness Tournament. On the national level, we want to recognize 2 of our dance teams. The Southside High School dance team, the Sapphires, made history as it was their first experience in the national finals at the Universal Dance Association competition. Furthermore, it was the first time the dance team returned with a national trophy. The Sapphires placed 6th in the nation for their medium varsity hip-hop routine and 13th for medium varsity game day in Orlando. Next, we want to celebrate with the Lafayette High Lionettes for their performance at the 2022 Dance Team Union National Championship, also held in Orlando, Florida. The team placed third in large varsity team, fourth in large varsity hip hop, fifth in spirit showdown, and 11th in small varsity jazz. Finally, I would like to congratulate our own Lafayette High School senior, Maggie Lai, for being selected as a candidate for the U.S. Presidential Scholarships Program by the U.S. Department of Education. Of the over 6,000 candidates who qualify for this program, only 161 students in the United States earn this prestigious honor. Maggie is the one female candidate chosen from the state of Louisiana for this distinction. She will receive a presidential medallion in commemoration of her achievements during a national recognition program to be held in the summer. Congratulations to Maggie. Mr. President, this concludes my opening comments.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to the agenda. The first item on the agenda is discussion or action concerning pending litigation in the matter of Pat Cooper versus Lafayette Parish School Board.
Mr. President, I move that the board go into executive session to discuss the pending litigation in the matter of Pat Cooper versus Lafayette Parish School Board, suit number 2014-5941, Division L, 15th Judicial District Court, Parish of Lafayette, State of Louisiana.
Second.
Motion is second that we go into executive session. Any public comments from the audience, from members of the board? If not, Madam Secretary will call for the vote.
Mr. President, I move that we return to regular session.
Second.
Motion and a second that we go back into executive session. Any public comment? Board comment? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Motion carries. This meeting is back in session. And we'll move on to the agenda. Number 3, information items, employee services, personnel changes, March. Ms. Gardner? Or Mr. Mouton, I'm sorry.
Good evening to Ms. Trosclair, to the school board, and of course the president, Ms. D'Angele. I have the distinct pleasure of introducing one new assistant principal this evening. Brandon Bonner is the new assistant principal at Judy's Middle School. Mr. Bonner has 8 years of experience in the field of education. He holds a Bachelor's of Arts degree in broadcast journalism from Harding University in Searcy, Arkansas, a Master of Education in Educational Leadership from Louisiana State University in Shreveport, and he is currently pursuing his Educational Leadership Doctorate at the University of Louisiana, Lafayette, with a concentration in Curriculum Leadership. He has served as a physical education assistant at Broussard Middle School and Youngsville Middle School. He has taught PE and coached football, boys and girls basketball, boys and girls track, and soccer. Most recently, he taught PE and robotics at Broussard Middle School. While at Broussard, he implemented the robotics course, which is based on VEX Robotics and Code.org curriculums. Mr. Bonner believes that his experiences working as a coach, taking on leadership roles in his previous positions, and his willingness to strive to continue learning will allow him to assist Ms. Hovey and the Judy's Middle School community in sustaining a partnership with all community stakeholders, as well as continue an environment that fosters lifelong learners who value education and are productive members of society. Mr. Brandon Bonner, Assistant Principal at Judy's Middle School.
Good evening. I'd first like to thank Superintendent Trosclair and the board for giving me the opportunity to be the assistant principal at Judy's Middle. It's been quite the humbling experience. When I started working as a paraprofessional 8 years ago, I never imagined that I'd eventually become a school administrator. However, under Mr. John Mouton's guidance and wisdom, and with the support of my family and the Broussard Middle School staff, I was encouraged to take my career in education seriously. This led me to completing my master's in educational leadership and my current pursuit of my doctorate at ULL, Research and Access to Gifted Education. I hope to use my dissertation findings and all the information I'm learning in my doctoral program to benefit our students and teachers at Judy's Middle. Throughout my teaching and coaching career, I strive to provide students and athletes with the tools to be successful in the classroom, court, and field. And it is my goal to do the same with the Judy's Middle staff and students. I have to thank Ms. Hovey, who took the chance on the coach from Broussard Middle to be the sidekick to her superhero. I'm thankful for being so welcomed into the Dusson and Cardinal community, and I'm excited to grow together. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving along, item 3.2, facilities monthly updates. Mr. Bordelon, Mr. Touchette.
Good evening, members of the board. Kyle Bordelon, Director of Planning and Facilities. In your packet is the monthly construction update. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them at this time.
No questions, sir. Thank you, Mr. Bordelon. Item 3.3, list of bids to be approved to be advertised by the superintendent. Mr. Dugas. Mr.
That's
Francis?
an information item. It's an information item.
Okay. New construction, presentation of the proposed location of the new Lafayette High School building on approved construction site. Mr. Brew?
Good evening, Board President Angel, Board, and Superintendent Trosclair. We're pleased to do a brief presentation to show the progress on Lafayette High School. I'd like to introduce the presenters, architects representing the architectural team of ACSW, Eric Crozier and Stephen Domain. Would you join me, please? And their partner in the architectural design team is Fluger Architects. And we also have contractor representative who is part of the team and also making a contribution from Lemoyne Construction. So without further ado, I'll let the presentation start.
Good evening, everybody. Ms. Trosclair, members of the board, Tommy. Stephen's going to bring us through a few things, but for the past few months, we've been working very diligently with the different committees, the C&I committee, the steering committee, and the executive committee to come up with, I guess, what we feel like is the strongest location for Lafayette High. I think we looked at least 3 different locations, at least 3. I have no idea how many we looked at the office, but that was 3 that we looked at in public. So Stephen's going to bring us through a few things. If you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer whatever questions you might have.
I appreciate you guys giving us the opportunity to make this presentation to you guys. So what I'm going to do is go through it and kind of hit the high points, try to be mindful of the time that we have today. So our office is heavy on processing engagement, and for that we worked, as Eric mentioned, we worked with a steering committee which represents the culture and the soul of Lafayette High School. We worked with a C&I and instruction committee, and those teams that were put together worked through the executive committee and to the LPSS board building committee. When we talk about the soul and the culture of Lafayette High, we're really talking about engaging students. We're talking about engaging faculty members. We talk about engaging the principals and coaches and really understanding their needs and what this school means for them and how we can assist and creating a vision with them. Our process is kind of multifaceted. We go through this initial discovery where we try to understand, what are we seeing? What are we talking about when we talk about 21st century learning? We go through ideation, which talks about, okay, let's start to shape that. How does the building program start to shape to adapt to the needs of the school? And in phase 3 right now, we're in concept development, where we're starting to actually put those building blocks together and start to create a vision. And so part of that is what I'm going to show you today. Our workshop engagement is very hands-on. We go through discussing the what-ifs. We go discussing the dreams, and we start to show that and start to identify, how does the massing of this come together? How can that be placed on the site? What can we do with specific to Lafayette High and address the needs of the campus, as it's pretty unique to its location? And we also go through visioning, and we go through other exercises, and so it's very heavy. And we've been very pleased with the results and pleased with the commitment and dedication that each of the committees have given this project. We assessed the students and the faculty, and we received a lot of feedback that went on into developing what we call guiding principles. It was heavy on students with 338 responses to the surveys that we sent to them, and faculty 92. We created what we call guiding principles, and I'm going to go through those very briefly. These are the measuring stick for which we use to make sure that we're doing the right thing for this school and for the community. One of those is legacy, understanding what does it mean to be at Lafayette High School, and how can the building and the spaces and the activities that go in the building facilitate the need to reach in their expectations of legacy. Second one is synergy, understanding that these are students. How can we engage them? How can we energize them to be, you know, to be the next leaders in our community? So inclusivity, talking about collaboration, talking about bringing students together in the ways that they learn that are unique to students, and creating spaces that facilitate that. And connectivity, how can the building connect to the opportunities that are on the site? So specific to Lafayette High, obviously, are the trees that are out there, the outdoor environments that the students use, and how can we make sure we don't lose that in the building design? How can we actually enhance it and with the design? Current challenges, concerns. Obviously, we have a budget. We know we have a budget. We've been working to understand how the building reacts to the budget. There is the concern of the changing of the market, and we're trying to stay with that. We have a really great CMR contractor on board, and they've been really, you know, keyed into understanding and help us understanding that at a very fine detail. We have a schedule we have to hit. I'll talk about that briefly in this presentation, and we have to meet the needs of the total campus. And one of those is understanding how the sports fields come into play and what can we do about it with the design. Campus vision. So obviously this is just an aerial of the current Lafayette High School with the West Congress on your right, Foreman along here, and Susan Street and other surrounding streets around it. When we look at the master plan, this is where our current vision is for the master plan. I'm going to go through this a little bit in finer detail, but essentially the building is shown here in yellow, approximately between the football field and the existing building. So there's a green space that's currently there, and we're looking at building a new building in that area. And we're looking at some components of whether or not we can renovate the existing gym, whether or not where parking occurs and where drives occur, and so I'm going to talk about that in a little bit detail. But we're trying to facilitate the entire needs of the campus while keeping in mind that we have to meet the requirements for zoning and parking, and we have to meet the requirements for the academic standpoint of the size of the building that's ultimately going to be built. We're looking at parking and drives. We've studied the parking and drives of how buses are going to safely get onto the site and exit on the site. We're studying how parent drop-off is going to occur, where faculty parking might park, where students might park, and we're looking at unique opportunities this site provides to us where we can facilitate all those needs in a very safe way. We're looking at green spaces. We understand that the building is going to have a frontage ultimately on West Congress, but we want to retain as part of that legacy that there is the oak trees that are along West Congress, and how can we take advantage of that and enhance that with the placement of the building. So we're looking at various opportunities for open space and green space, and these are spaces for students to actually gather and collaborate together. We're looking at student traffic. It is a neighborhood school. We have to adapt to that, and we have to provide opportunity for students to be able to get onto campus safely. We're starting to understand how they traverse around campus, and how do they get to the parking lots? Where does the student go when they're dropped off by a parent? We're looking at various courtyards and plazas for students, and so that's shown here in yellow. When talking about building program, what we're talking about is essentially a collection of spaces in the building that make up the various components of that building. So this typically could be described as a list of spaces, but this diagram shows you essentially the breakout of those spaces from a percentage standpoint. So the vast majority of the building is an academic building. There's obviously PE and athletics that go into it, performing arts and fine arts, career tech, and the various different activities and programs that make Lafayette High Lafayette High. So we're starting to understand that at a higher level. If we took this diagram and started to to mass it on the site, the color codes kind of correspond. But what we're showing here is the new building behind the existing building. And so this diagram shows what it will look like when both buildings are on the site at the same time. The expectation is that students are going to remain in the existing building during the extent of construction, and that we would build the building behind it. Once the new construction is complete, students would move over into the new building, and we would demo the existing building and work on the site parking and drives. This is what that would look like once that demolition occurs. So it's essentially a 3D view of the master plan. And if we took a closer look at the building itself and we looked at where the various components would occur, when we say a neighborhood, we're really talking about an academic neighborhood. So this is essentially where academic learning occurs. The green, so that's shown in blue. The green area on the right is the gymnasiums that we're programming into the building. The fine arts is in this purplish color on the left, and it includes a concert auditorium in that space. And we're looking at other various spaces like libraries and commons areas and administration areas and CTE. So those are all in this program. If you see that broken out, it's a 3-story building, and you can kind of see how those are broken out with the health science component, approximately where the entrance might be with the admin on the right. Moving up to the second floor, we start the academic neighborhoods, and so shown in blue, so there's 2 stories of that academic neighborhood. And then you can see how the gyms and the existing gym would be on the right-hand side with the concert auditorium and fine arts on the left. Project milestones. So these are the high points. We've been working on the schedule. We've been analyzing in a finer detail, but this is what matters to the students in the community at Lafayette High. They want to know when this construction zone might be established, and we are looking at establishing the construction zone and fencing during the summer of 2022, so that's just around the corner. We're looking at doing site work and underground foundation during the remainder of 2022, with in summer of 2023 starting to actually see the building come up above ground. So that's what most people would think of as building construction, but there's a lot of site work that needs to occur in advance of that, bringing utilities, building a building pad, and etc. Students are anticipating moving in spring of 2025 so that they can start the new school, or the spring portion of the school year in a new school. So after that point, we would move on with demolition and site work after they move in. So that is the presentation in a nutshell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to thank Abel Crozier, Architect Southwest, and Pfluger and Lemoyne for being at Lafayette High last night to present much the same presentation to our parents and students and some alumni last night. It was a constructive meeting, and they were there to answer questions, and really thrilled with how the project is going and the work that they're doing, and great to have valued partners on this project. So thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, moving along to information items, 3.5, Board Retiree Return to Work Laws. Mr. Letchele?
Thank you, Mr. President. This is just reminding everyone as the legislative session gets started, or has already started, the opportunity for public school teachers to retire and rehire. They're able to retire from the public school systems and work in private schools and charter schools, but they're not allowed to come back to public schools. So with the teacher shortage and the strain being put on school systems, just kind of a reminder that this is coming up, and there's some other stuff in the legislature which affects education. So feel free to contact your state reps, so forth and so on. I had a conversation with Ms. Julia Reed, president of LPAE, and we're looking forward to see how all of this plays out. And you know, they are of course in support of these things, as are our schools and everyone I've talked to, that we allow our public school teachers to retire and rehire. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Latchley. Moving along to the agenda, item 4.1, risk management. Please indicate any items you wish to pull. Discussion or action concerning revisions to policy EBBD, emergency school closing and cancellation, and GBAA, employment classifications, work week, and overtime. 4.2, discussion or action concerning the comprehensive annual financial report. 4.3, associate superintendent, discussion and or action concerning resolution 3-22-2028, National School Social Work Week.
I'll pull 4.3.
We'll pull 4.3. 4.4, discussion or action concerning Acadiana High School girls athletics lockers quote. I might point out that most of these items I'm going to talk about that were quoted on, that we received bids on, correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Trostad, but it was pretty much under budget. Under budget, right. Thank you. 4.5, administration, discussion and or action concerning summer operating hours and work schedule. 4.6, discussion or action concerning committed school sites, renovations, replacements, Prairie, Carencro Heights, Lafayette High, Northside High line item in the self-funded construction fund. Item 4.7, employee services, discussion or action concerning the CTTIE teacher job description. 4.8, discussion or action concerning approval of quotes for ACM abatement at the new district office building. 4.9, discussion or action concerning approval for bids for Carencro High kitchen HVAC. 4.10, discussion or action concerning approval of bids for Broussard Middle Parent Drive. 4.11, discussion or action concerning approval of bids for Acadiana High kitchen HVAC. 4.12, discussion or action concerning approval of bids for J.W. Falk Elementary kitchen HVAC and electrical updates. 4.13, discussion or action concerning ratification of quotes for Lafayette Middle intercom rack replacement. 4.14, discussion and or action concerning the sales tax collection report for January 2022. 4.15, discussion or action concerning budget to actual reports for February 2022. 4.16, discussion or action concerning grant fund summary for February 2022. 4.17, discussion or action concerning resolution 3-22-2027, ordering and calling on election to be held in the Consolidated School District Number 1 of the Parish of Lafayette, State of Louisiana, to authorize renewal of an ad valorem tax. 4.18, discussion or action concerning the minutes of February 9th, February 15th, and February 22nd, 2022.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that we approve all action items not pulled.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Latchley, seconded by Ms. Morrison, that we approve all action items not pulled. Any comments from the audience on any items not pulled? Yes, ma'am.
Julia Reed, President, Lafayette Parish Association of Educators. I'm commenting on 4.1. I would like to start by thanking Ms. Trostclair and Ms. Gardner for their time in discussing the EBBD policy with us. We had some concerns which they were able to address, and we are very satisfied with the outcome, and we want to let you know that, and we appreciate their time. I did want to also talk about the second policy, and it's not about any of the proposed changes, but that this policy presents a opportunity for us to begin thinking about some different ways we could address the teacher shortage. If you read under the work hours portion, we are salaried employees and we are asked to work outside of the school day, and that's perfectly fine. faculty meetings, parent-teacher conference. We have to do those things outside of the school day. That just has to be. But in the current way the policy is written, there are no limits placed on the amount of hours that a teacher can be asked to work outside of the school day. And for most principals, that's absolutely not a problem. There are some principals who can be a little demanding of their teachers' time when they already have so much work that they have to do outside of the school day. I don't know if any of you remember your teacher's plan book from when you were a kid, but my teacher's plan book had a spot about this big for every day, and she had the same planning period that I have today. And I will tell you, not all my plans fit on that little square anymore. So I just wanted to bring some attention to that. Maybe possibly we could look into adding some caps on the number of hours outside of the school day. There's also no prior notification. A principal under this policy can call a meeting on very short notice, and we've received several complaints about that this year, about principals calling meetings on very short notice, putting their staff in a bind with student pickup. And Ms. Trosclair has always been so wonderful about working with us about individual concerns, but it's a real opportunity. We are going to be competing with our neighboring parishes for teachers, and they do have in some of our neighboring parishes some limits on these things. And money is always important. We pay more than several of them, but working conditions are also important to teachers. And so I just wanted to call your attention to this as something that maybe we could work on in the future, because I want us to get first dibs on all the new graduates from UL, and I don't want to see them going to a neighboring parish. So I thank you for your time. And then I would also like to comment on I think it was the last item, the tax, and just to say that we fully support the renewal of this tax. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And let me just remind those of you present, I know I don't have to remind her, she's very aware, but there's several bills in the legislature coming up this session that deal with teacher pay. One is a $1,500 raise, and the governor has promised that if there's more money available, that it would be up to $2,000, I think, or maybe even more. But I would respectfully request that you all contact your senator and your representative and ask them to please approve these bills, because it means a lot to our teachers, and I think it helps to show how much we appreciate them. And I guess I'm kind of prejudiced, speaking from the position of a former teacher myself. Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am. If there's no more comments from the audience, yes, ma'am.
Oh, you want to comment? I'm sorry. I was just going to comment on another bill that's
Go
out
ahead.
there.
Go ahead.
House
Watch
Bill
this comment.
215 directly will benefit contract bus drivers, people that own their buses, drive, and they get reimbursement rates. So please support that one as well. We're obviously, transportation has a shortage right now, and we'd really like to attract excellent drivers and career drivers who own their buses. So please support that one as well, in addition to the teacher pay.
Yes,
Hello,
ma'am.
my name's Morgan Broussard. I was actually coming to ask what y'all are doing about the bus shortage. Just because my son has missed probably about 2 weeks on and off, because the bus isn't running or it's down or whatnot, and it's now starting to affect, like, he can't get to school. So I was just wondering what exactly y'all are planning on moving forward with that as well.
I'm sorry, Tim, Ms. Trosclair?
Yes, so ma'am, if we could get specifics, your name, your number, the bus number, we will make certain that someone gives you a call.
Okay,
first
thank
thing
you
in the
very
morning.
much.
Thank you.
Any comments from members of the board concerning items not pulled? Yes, sir. Mr. Centennial.
Thank you, Mr. President. I believe this will fulfill our legal obligation of noticing the election. Pursuant to the provisions of a resolution adopted by the Parish School Board of the Parish of Lafayette, State of Louisiana, acting as the governing authority of Consolidated School District Number 1 of the Parish of Lafayette, State of Louisiana, on March 9th, 2022, notice is hereby given that a special election will be held within the district on Tuesday, November 8th, 2022, and at that said election, there will be submitted to all registered voters in the district qualified and entitled to vote at the said election under the Constitution and laws of the State of Louisiana and the Constitution of the United States, the following proposition, to wit: a maintenance tax renewal proposition. Shall Consolidated School District Number 1 of the Parish of Lafayette, State of Louisiana, continue to levy a 16 7/10 mills tax on all property subject to taxation in said consolidated school district for a period of 10 years, beginning with the year 2025 and ending with the year 2034, an estimated $36,990,000 reasonably expected at this time to be collected from the levy of the tax for an entire year, for the purpose of giving additional support to public elementary and secondary schools, excluding capital improvements in said consolidated school district. The said special election shall be held at each and every polling place in the parish of Lafayette, which polls will open at 6 o'clock a.m. and close at 8 o'clock p.m. in accordance with the provisions of Louisiana Revised Statute 18-541. The polling places in the parish of Lafayette are hereby designated as the polling places at which to hold the said election, and the commissioners in charge and commissioners respectively shall be those persons designated according to law. The estimated cost of this election as determined by the Secretary of State based upon the provisions of Chapter 8A of Title 18 and actual costs of similar elections is $85,500. Notice is further given that a portion of the monies collected from the tax described in the proposition shall be remitted to certain state and statewide retirement systems in the manner required by law. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. And I understand that there's a reduction in the rate of collection. The millage rate is being decreased. Is that correct?
That is correct. I believe this year the rate of this millage is 17.88 mils, and it is being renewed at 16.7 mils.
Thank you very much. Any other comments? Ms. Morrison.
I just wanted to say that there's several universities, including the University of Louisiana, is working to help us with the teacher shortage. They've put several things in place. A few of us, we attended the LSBA conference, and it was very exciting to know what our challenges are and know that our legislators are really helping with that, and our universities are all on board to help us, especially students that'll go into college and not sure what they want to be and if they're closer to more of the education classes. So that was really enlightening for that. Also working on dual enrollment, pathways, early childhood, to better what we do. So we're all in this together, and everybody's working to improve what we do. And it was really exciting and informative. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. Yes, ma'am. Ms. LeBeau?
I think there's going to be a teacher recruitment day, isn't there, David Thibodeau? Can you announce the date of that just so everybody can have that and we can put it on public record?
That will be held on April 9th. More information will soon be going out to our Facebook page, our website. We'll be advertising and promoting it in many ways. Yes, thank you.
All right, moving along, we're going to move on to item 4.3, Associate Super discussion. I'm sorry. Motion, I call for the vote for all of the items not pulled.
Nine, for, none against.
Motion carries. We'll move on to item 4.3, discussion concerning Resolution 3-22-2028, National School Social Work Week.
Yes, Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that the board approves Resolution 03022-2028, National School Social Work Week, as attached in the public content of this section.
Second.
We have a motion and second by Ms. LeBeau. Did you second? Dr. Aguilar, I'm sorry, sir. Any discussion or comments from members of the audience? Any comments or questions from members of the board? You want to read it, Mary?
Yes,
okay.
sir. National School Social Work Week. Whereas the School Social Work Association of America sponsors the National School Social Work Week to recognize the significant role that professional social workers provide in academic settings. And whereas school social workers have specialized training in mental health to meet students' social, emotional needs. And whereas school social workers has expertise in understanding vulnerable populations to assist with community support, to promote academic student success, and whereas student social workers consult with school personnel to provide interventions to decrease truancy, and school social workers play a vital role in promoting the school's district's mission to provide a setting for teaching and learning. And whereas school social workers provide support to educators to address behavioral and academic support. Therefore, be it duly resolved that the Lafayette Parish School Board does hereby designate the week of March 6th through the 12th, 2022 as National School Social Work Week.
Thank you, Mary.
And
Any other comments from members of the board? If not, Madam Secretary, we call for the vote.
I just want to add the appreciation for our social workers. Many of us, I think all of our employees, they have trauma training, and how is so important to learning to recognize students that are having challenges and to give them the support that they need. Also, ACEs training is very important. So we appreciate all what you do to help our students to be successful. Thank you.
Nine, for, none against.
Thank you very much. That was the last item on our agenda that was pulled. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.